Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Belle again. So today, we're going to talk about Trump having learned nothing from seeing the effects of his rhetoric, and how his base doesn't understand what his little statements really mean for them and their stated beliefs. Trump was giving a speech in Pennsylvania and went off on a ramble that has made the news cycle. But it's being discussed in the typical dismissive, Trump doesn't know what he's saying style. This probably isn't something that should be dismissed as his normal old man yelling at the clouds routine. We'll go over what he said and then kind of break down the major issues beyond that immediate reaction you have when you hear it. Trump said, quote, "Now, if you had one really violent day, like a guy like Mike Kelly, put him in charge. Congressman Kelly, put him in charge for one day. Mike, would you say, right here, he's a great congressman. Would you say, Mike, that if you were in charge, you would say, oh, please don't touch them. Don't touch them. Let them rob your store. All these stores go out of business, right? They don't pay rent. The city doesn't have the whole. It's a chain of events. It's so bad. One rough hour, and I mean real rough. The word will get out and it will end immediately. End immediately. You know, it will end immediately." The context is his bizarre fixation with security camera footage of snatch and grabs from stores. He also rambled on about a California law about thefts less than $950 being misdemeanors and some imagined connection to Harris. Those thefts being classified as misdemeanors came about in 2014 because of a ballot initiative called Prop 47. California voters approved it in a landslide, not Harris. He just made that up. The win was by more than 19 percentage points. Are you shocked that Trump doesn't respect the will of the voters? I'm shocked, but not really. Obviously, the idea of a presidential candidate saying that the solution to a domestic issue is a violent day is a problem in general. The joke is that this is how you get the purge. And sure, you can blow it off like that, but maybe it's important to acknowledge that Trump has learned nothing from the events of January 6th. Let's just take Trump at his word for a second. He really didn't mean to spark the events of the 6th. If that was true, any normal person would become much more careful with their words. He hasn't. Beyond that, what does it mean to have a violent day or a real rough hour? How does that play out? Let's assume he wasn't advocating random citizens take things into their own hands. So that would mean he was advocating for this behavior from law enforcement? How exactly does one preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States while advocating that law enforcement ignore the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th Amendments? It would certainly seem that for law enforcement to engage in the violent, real rough period, they would need to deprive people of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, without public trial by an impartial jury. That would occur after the illegal search and seizure and before the cruel and unusual punishment. Not just does this little comment from Trump show he's learned nothing from the 6th, but that he also still doesn't support this country's founding documents, and that he allows his wannabe tough guy routine to persuade him to advocate against the document he and his base say they love. The statement was so off, even his campaign tried to do damage control, saying he was just, quote, clearly just floating it in jest. There might be a lot of demographics in the country that won't find it funny to suggest that law enforcement should be able to get rough with the suspects they choose. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.